Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the studentloanjustice.org live stream. My name is Alan Collins. We are the oldest, largest, and pretty much largest, and pretty much only true 1,000% grassroots group fighting only and absolutely for student loan justice. That's my kitty back there. Joining you from Northwoods, Wisconsin. I hope everything is going well out there in the world. I'm going to get right into it tonight. 5 mind-blowing facts about student loans that, unless you've watched our live streams many times in the past, you would never know these facts, but they are true. Before I launch into that, let me just say we're a very credible group. We've been around since March 2005. We've written books with very well-established publishers, old prestigious publishing companies. We've written articles in the New York Times, the Los Angeles Times, Congressional Quarterly, many other places. And we have also broken some of the most important news stories in the media on the student loan program, going back many years, going back to 2007, actually. We've been featured top story on 60 Minutes. Did I say that? Anyways, we know a few things about this problem, and all the facts that I'm about to lay out to you are absolutely true. And in fact, I will post the links to all of these claims that I'm about to make below this live stream on Twitter or Facebook, so you can vet the data for yourself. With, I think, one exception, all of these claims are sourced directly from readily available, publicly available, and viewable federal government data. I actually didn't write these down. I probably got like 12 facts that if you have any questions or comments, if I can see them, I will gladly respond to them. If you're watching us on Twitter or Facebook, then have at it, and I will hopefully be able to see them. So, drum roll, please. Fact number 1, and this is something we just broke today. Well, yesterday we published a report. I've been saying this for years. I really didn't even think it needed to be proven, like trotted out as a white paper. Fact number 1. Most people think that student loan borrowers are overwhelmingly liberal. Like, turn on Fox News and they go, don't cancel loans for those Antifa hippie, maybe not hippie, but you get my point. People love to generalize. When they think of student loan borrowers, they think of liberal, socialist, whatever, anarchists, etc., protesters. It turns out that is absolutely not true. It turns out that the majority of college students, once they get out of college, whatever, normal people who have been to college, the majority of these people are either Republican or independent. I kid you not. And I will, as I said, we just posted that, the data that shows that. That's the one piece that is not directly sourced to the federal government. That is sourced to Pew Research and Gallup, like the Gallup poll. So in 2014, Pew Research found that it was essentially a 50-50 split for people who had been to college and whether they identified as Democrat versus Republican and independent. So that's true. And nationally, Gallup found that the overall trend was towards the right since 2014, maybe even more so in more recent years. I don't know, in 2022. Joe Biden does not seem very popular at the moment. But yeah, no, Gallup certainly found I would say small, but certainly measurable, not insignificant shift to the right since 2014. So of the 45.4 million federal student loan borrowers out there in the country, and probably the 15 private loan borrowers also, a majority of them identify politically as being either Republican or independent, not Democratic. That completely blows that whole myth out of the water. And I urge everybody to find that article that we did at Medium and send it to all the conservatives that you can, particularly conservatives in Congress, because they ignore this fact this demographic fact at their great political peril. So fact number 2. Another long-standing, let's say, myth, a preconception, is that student loan borrowers tend to be younger people, like the millennials, the 25 to 40 crowd, or 18 to 40, or whatever, that demographic. That's completely wrong. Wrong. Fact number 2, older people outnumber younger people with student loan debt, and they owe, on average, far, far more, despite having borrowed far less. It's true. Look at that thing that I'm going to post later, and you will see. And you can vet that data. It comes directly from the Department of Education. People over 35 outnumber people under 35 with student loans, and they owe 150% more. People, and this is probably the most important, people over the age of 50 outnumber people under the age of 25 with student loans, and they owe way more, 300% more. Now, this is despite typically having borrowed far less many years ago. Sounds crazy, right? I know most people are like, yeah, I don't even believe that. I don't believe it. Look at the data. The data does not lie. Well, hopefully the data doesn't lie. The best data that we have is federal government data, Department of Education data. It's not perfect. In fact, in many ways, it's pretty flawed, but it is the best data that I've been able to find over many, 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 many years of searching. That's true. Fact number 3. Believe it or not, many years of White House budget data show that the federal government, the Department of Education, does not lose money on defaulted student loans. Now think about that for a minute. On a defaulted credit card, they are thrilled to get back even 10 cents on the dollar on a defaulted account. For federal, and so too for the government, all the government loans that you can look at, veteran loans, small business loans, FEMA loans, you name the government loan. And for all of those loans, the government takes a huge loss on defaulted loans. They make back 15 cents, 20 cents, 25 cents, 5 cents on the dollar for defaulted loans, until you look at federal student loans. For federal student loans, the government, as of 2010, was making up to $1.22 on the dollar for defaulted loans. That was in 2000. It was true in 2004. It was reported in the Wall Street Journal. It's true in 2010. We reported that. And unfortunately, the Wall Street Journal did a piss poor job of actually reporting it. They allowed our opposition, unnamed spokesman from the Department of Education, claim that it wasn't true, but they provided no proof. They just said, no, that's not true. That's all they said. But the White House budget data, I think, doesn't lie. It's been very consistent, solid data. It's true today, or at least the most recent data that I looked at, which was, I think, the 2016 President Trump's budget, White House budget. Go to the supplementary materials, Appendix 4, and look at the recovery rates for all the universe of government loans. And you will see what I just said. The recovery rate is 10 cents, 15 cents, 20 cents, 25 cents, 15 cents, 5 cents for all other loans. And then you get to student loans, and it's $1.10, $1.08, $1.16, like that. It's crazy. This is what happens when you take bankruptcy protections away from a loan. It becomes risk-free for the lenders. And again, I expect most people out there, certainly people who know anything about economics and finance, they would not believe that claim. And I urge them. I will post a link to the white paper below, and you can vet it for yourself. And I urge you to look at more recent White House budget data, and you will very quickly come to the same conclusion that I came to. So that was fact number 3. Fact number 4, and this is another piece of research that we broke a few months ago. 64.3% nearly 2/3 of all federal student loan borrowers were not paying on their student loans before COVID, before the pandemic. In Q4 2019, 64.3% of all federal student loan borrowers were not paying. So that's just true. Even and there's 14 million borrowers in income-driven repayment, but half of those 7 million were making $0 payments. So there's that. And maybe I will say it's a good 7 or 8 million people of those were in school. So most people don't pay on their student loans when they're in school. But even if you discount them out of the data, ignore them completely, we're still left with 57% of all borrowers not paying before the pandemic. So this lending system was catastrophically failed before the pandemic, ladies and gentlemen. 2/3 weren't paying before the pandemic. Almost no one's paying now. And I would be stunned if even 20% of the borrowers ever resume paying whenever they muster the courage or the cojones or the chutzpah to try and turn this lending system back on. Fact. It's a fact. And again, look at our Medium article, which describes that, which I will post soon after this. Fact number 5. I'm trying to pick a good one. There's like still about 9 or 10 facts that haven't been reported that I'd like to bring out. Okay. And hopefully you've heard this before because I say it quite frequently. Fact number 5. The default rate for subprime home mortgages was 20%, right? That was a failed lending system. Default rate for subprime home mortgages was 20%. The default rate for federal student loan borrowers who left college in 2004 is 40%. It's double the subprime home mortgage default rate. The kicker there is that people who left college in 2004, they were borrowing less than 1/3 of what is being borrowed today on average, less than 1/3. So if the default rate for the class of 2004 is 40%, what do you think it is for people who came through since then? That is over the past 18 years. It's a lot higher than 40%. I can tell you that. Is it 50%? Yeah. Is it 60%? Yeah, for sure. Is it 70%? Probably. Is it 75 or 80%? I would not be surprised. And again, this is before the pandemic, ladies and gentlemen. So those are 5 fast facts, true claims, vetted beyond criticism. And I urge you to vet those claims. Look at the papers that I'm going to post below in the comments and see if you can pick anything apart. There's only one thing that I think maybe people might be able to pick at, and that is the first fact that most student loan borrowers are either conservative or independent. That rests on the assumption that student loan borrowers and all college students are a proxy for each other. So in other words, 2/3 of all student loan borrowers 2/3 of all college students take out student loans. So that what I said, the Pew data, the Gallup data was looking at former college students, not specifically at student loan borrowers. But I think it's a pretty fair bet that student loan borrowers are a pretty fair approximation of college students generally. I'd be really surprised if it was much different. So that's kind of down there in the weeds. So that is really the only criticism that I can think of that carries even any validity, but they got nothing. So yeah, these facts are very true, ladies and gentlemen, and they're very important. You know, if people out there in the world, if everybody in the country knew those facts, they would be on our side. And they will never know unless and until you tell them. So I hope that you will learn those facts, read those facts, vet those facts, challenge those claims. And over time, you will come to realize that, yes, indeed, they are all true. And you will be a student loan justice warrior. And you will spread those facts. You know, that's handy. Those are 5 very handy facts to have at your disposal as you mix it up with the haters, or maybe your curmudgeon uncle, or your non-borrowing student loan or non-borrowing professional colleagues, and others who you may be chit-chatting about this issue with too. It's very important that you help us spread the word, because nobody's going to do it unless you do it. So I'm going to look for comments now. Sorry, I've been lagging on this. Comments are always a slightly dicey proposition for us. We've got 2 different platforms I have to manage between, and a lot of the comments, for some reason, I just never see. So hopefully that is not true tonight. Hey, Leslie Fishman, how are you? What I find mind-blowing is how many people I talk to at work, professionals, hardly know anything about their loans. Oh my God, I know, Leslie. Believe me, I know. If you go to any college campus today and you even ask them the most fundamental questions, like, who are you borrowing that money? Like, who owns your loans? They'll be like, FAFSA, or just ridiculous. Nobody likes student loans. Nobody wants to think about their student loans. Everybody is on autopilot when dealing with their student loans. They assume they are just sort of these benign, friendly, government-run things, and just roll with the punches, do what they say, and everything will be fine. And that is how most people approach this thing. And the government and its contractors use this fact to their massively, ruthlessly, viciously, hugely lucrative advantage, and shame on them for that. But yeah, no, nobody knows anything about student loans. And why would they? I only know a lot about it because I decided to get really angry. I snapped in 2004. I was actually working in the banking industry. In fact, in the federal loan industry under a different agency, Department of Transportation. So I knew a lot about about lending products, lending instruments, good faith, etc., from the other side of the equation. And when I looked at what was happening with my own student loans, I realized something had gone horribly awry, and it could not stand. But guys, this is our battle. This is your fight. These are your loans. I can't win this battle for you. I can't. I certainly can't do the whole damn thing myself. Me and Leslie, we can't do it. Us two can't alone get it done. On any given day, we've got over 1 million members in our group, probably 2 or 3 million at this point. But on any given day, I have to be honest and say that probably not even 1,000 people are helping us in this fight. And that's not going to win the battle for us, guys. It's just not. We need way more people helping. If even 1 or 2% of the 1.2 million people in our group, what is that? That's like 20,000 people. If 20,000 people were actually helping us every single day, we'd be done. I mean, seriously, we would overwhelm the congressional switchboards of everybody. We'd be done. The Twitter accounts, we'd be a massive muscle, and we would be unavoidable and unignorable. So think about that. We need you helping. The most important thing anybody out there can be doing, by the way, is going to our website, studentloanjustice.org, and doing our daily actions. Studentloanjustice.org. Go there and do our daily actions. They're quick. You need a Twitter account, mostly. It's not all Twitter, but it's a lot Twitter. Do our daily actions on a daily basis. We need you to do those. But the most important action thing I'm going to say tonight. Now, one other quick thing that everybody can do, in fact, while you're watching me right now, before this video ends, you can text sign PSQ VFQ, text that to 50409. It's our resist bot. It's kind of stupid, but it really actually does work. So those are the two things that you can do. The very last thing I would say, and I think I said this earlier, go to our Medium site and read the most recent 5 or 6 articles that we've published. They're short, they're very interesting, and they contain at least a couple of those claims that I made tonight, those 5 facts. And you can get to the bottom of it for yourself. We need you in this fight, ladies and gentlemen. These are your loans. This is your problem. You're not better than us. You have to put your work in on this block if you want to see this problem solved. I can tell you, when you do nothing, nothing happens. So help, because we need you, and you need everyone to be helping. So be the change, as they say. Okay, so now I'm looking on Twitter, and I might also add, ladies and gentlemen, things are very, very, they're going very well right now, but now, today, is the most critical time in the history of our 17-year-old organization. We've got a bill in Congress, S-2598. It's a Senate bill. It will return bankruptcy protections to all federal student loans. The most important policy point I'm going to make, maybe ever, tonight certainly, is that we are not going to see meaningful student loan cancellation unless and until we get the threat of bankruptcy back on our side. Few people should have to file. Maybe nobody will even have to file. But we have got to get the threat of bankruptcy back on our side. Otherwise, Joe Biden could tomorrow hold a press conference and say, I'm going to do everything you want, and I'm going to cancel up to $50,000 in student loans. And that will mean almost nothing. After they bureaucratize it to death, it will mean almost nothing for almost everyone. Joe Biden is not to be trusted. Department of Education not to be trusted. The only thing that will compel meaningful, not up to 50,000, you get $3,000, you get $1,000, you get nothing because you're in default, you get nothing because you earn too much. The only way to avoid that trick being played on us, as it has many times over the years in the 17-year history that we've been doing this, the only thing to compel real, actual, good faith student loan cancellation is getting the threat of bankruptcy back on our side. So S-2598 is the most important thing that anybody, whether you want full-on loan cancellation, whether you want a break on interest, or whether you want some other negotiated settlement, no matter what you want, we've got to get the threat of bankruptcy back first. I don't know why the other activists out there aren't calling for it. If they were smart, they would. And frankly, I find it alarming that they don't. But I don't care about those guys. They can defend themselves. What I do know is what I just said. We've got to get the threat of bankruptcy back. And you sitting there, if you do a month worth of our daily actions, you'll be at least sort of pulling your weight. That's kind of the least you could do. But we need you to do more. And I'll save that for another live stream for another night. But the battle is going on right now, ladies and gentlemen, and this is your battle. Make no mistake. This is your battle. And if you don't fight it, we're not going to win. And it's pretty much just that simple. The lending system's failed. The lending system's done. It's going to go away. The loans will be canceled eventually. But whether we get a quick, clean death and a burial for the student loan scam, or whether it is a years-long, drawn-out, terrible, dystopian, torturous unwinding, that all depends on how hard you help us right now. This bill is going through the Senate right now as we speak. It's being marked up like this week or next week. So what you do right now, you have no idea how important you are. So, okay, guys, I hope you enjoyed the live stream. I've gone maybe a little long, but I will be back on Friday. Ed, our heroic co-leader, will be back on Thursday, tomorrow. But you have to see us on Facebook, our Facebook group, facebook.com/groups/SLJ group. You have to go there to see his live streams for various technical reasons. So stick with us, guys. We know the path. And we need you in this fight. These are your loans. This is your problem. As crazy as it may seem, the country needs you right now because this group, we're the pioneers. We kind of started all this stuff in many ways, including the bankruptcy bill that we have to fight for right now, and including the fact that student loan cancellation by executive order is at the top of the news. That started with this group. I kid you not. So, come on, guys, don't phone it in. Nobody's going to pull your weight for you. We need you helping. And the only time we're going to win is when you own this problem and step up. So make a March New Year's resolution if that's what you need to do. But we absolutely need you. And that is the God's honest truth. So I'll see you on Friday. Good luck. Godspeed. Do our daily actions. And God bless everybody.